Hey everybody, welcome to the evolution of group fitness. We're super excited that you're here. It's like a Friday fitness throwback. So I'm Angie Miller. I am an NASM Master Instructor and I'm also an AFAA Mentor. So I have with me Yoko Holcombe, who is one of the first AFAA Master Instructors, and I have Shalaine Mac with me, who is also an AFAA Master Instructor. And I love the three of us being together because we all came into the group fitness space at a different time. So we all have kind of a different voice and some different experiences. So speaking of that, we thought we would just get right in there and talk about and know that anytime you have a question or some feedback or input, we want you to submit your questions and we will try to address them while we're online today. So let's talk about the evolution of group fitness. I started in the early 90s and I started when we were making group fitness music on cassette tapes, and we were developing all of our own choreography. I came in at a time that there was a lot of spandex, a lot of ponytails, a lot of high top tennis shoes, and a lot of headbands. So I really had a couple of great mentors early on. I was a school teacher at the time, and I used to take group fitness, and the group fitness instructor said to me, "You should teach group fitness, you would be great at it." And all I thought was, wow, I love to tell people what to do. I think that would be perfect for me. So how about you, Yoko? Tell us when you came into the space.
Number one, Richard Simmons opened up the studio 2 blocks away. So I started to go there with a mirror ball going around, dark studio, carpet, spotlight on the instructor, and he was gorgeous. That's how I started it. One day, instructor said, "Yoko, you do so well. Why don't you lead the class?" There's no guideline, no instruction. I just step in the front and start doing the jumping jack and the high kick. We started with a vinyl record with turntable, with tennis shoes, leg warmer, just like Angie said. The fashion was more important than how we moved. So that's how I got involved with fitness. Shalaine?
For me, I started a little later than you guys. I was taking fitness classes in the 90s and the 2000s. And then I was working full-time on a trading floor. I worked there for 14 years. But I ended up having really bad health and started taking group exercise classes. And my instructor left. So I just thought, well, you know, all the people that were after her weren't that good. And I said, well, I could be doing that too. And I decided to join. So at the time, I started with Zumba. That was my entry into group fitness. Even though I was taking other formats prior to that, I started off with Lottie Burke method in Greenwich. And it was with the people who started the bar method. And then I started just really getting into fitness with Zumba and that big craze. So it was like I drank the Kool-Aid. It was pretty scary for my family.
Yes. It really is kind of about drinking the Kool-Aid, isn't it? It really is about joining this big community of people and having all this energy and excitement and realizing that you get your bucket full when you fill a room full of people with energy, when they walk away and they feel confident about their body and they feel successful, because that transfers into everything they do. So we thought we would do a little bit of a throwback. We already kind of talked about music, but then Yoko kind of mentioned the floor. I too remember working down on concrete floor, better yet the carpet, where the high top tennis shoes would stick to the floor when you try to do a pivot. It's probably why we all have really bad knees right now. And talking about just formatting and how back then we developed all of our own group fitness formats. So nobody helped us with choreography. So now all these branded formats and all these choreography kind of driven formats are available. But at that time, we had to kind of develop everything ourselves and hope that we could get our music to match to the 32 count and hope that we wouldn't look like we were offbeat. So what do you think, Yoko?
I totally agree with you. First of all, there weren't 32 counts music at that time. So we really have to learn how to match the movement, music, and cueing. And it's all self-learned. You watch other instructor teachers and hope I'm copying it perfectly. Then we have to go to the workshop or other classes to get more information on internet. So we are just really on our own. Practice, practice, practice. That's how I started it. Shalaine?
For me, it was really easy. I came in when they have these pre-designed formats. So I watched Zumba videos, and then I'm Asian, so I copy it directly, exactly what they say. And then after a while, I started getting more comfortable. And then I started putting in my own style. And then a couple of years after I started teaching, I got my AFAA certification, and from there I ended up going to teach other formats. So that AFAA really opened up multiple revenue streams for me and different opportunities. So I would be able to then now learn all of this other stuff. And 32 count music, when I learned 32 count music, it was like, my brain exploded. I was like, what? I don't have to memorize all this choreography. I can just kind of know when the things were going, and that made teaching so much easier.
And you brought up AFAA, and I think that brings up the good point, because what we also wanted to talk about was education and credentialing. Because even though we all love a good ponytail, and I'm not going to lie, I still love some good spandex, even though it's different material now, education and credentialing is huge, right? Because at that time, when we were asked to teach group fitness, like Yoko said, a lot of times it was versus personal training, and are we so different? And how so many different programmings have evolved out of group fitness, things like TRX and large group kettlebell classes and all these different formats and designs, because group fitness has so much energy to it and so much community, and everybody kind of wants a piece of that. But most importantly, we've really evolved from an education standpoint. There's so much that is available to us now that we are no longer just ponytails and spandex. We are such an education-driven entity, and I think that speaks volumes for who we are and what we have to offer to our group fitness population. What do you think, Yoko?
Boy, when I took off a workshop, at that time it was 3 days. I didn't know what the ATP-CP system is. I didn't know what the quadriceps are, but I needed to get certified to teach class. Boy, that woke me up. And all these 34 years, that AFAA 5 question really helped me keep me in a good track. It's safe enough, effective enough. Watch who you are teaching, and that kept me going for all these 3 decades. Shalaine?
So for me, it was, so scary. We got the original book, which was like this thick, no pictures. It was all words. It was very, and then I went to the workshop, and at the time they didn't really like Zumba instructors. They were like, oh, those crazy people, it's just a fad. And I picked AFAA because I wanted to do the live component. I wanted to do the hands-on part, which is why I love doing these workshops for AFAA. But so when I did it, I killed it. Like, we were leading warm-ups and doing all the stuff. So I said, okay, yes, I can do this. I can do this. But I love AFAA because it's been around for so long, and then it's also evolved. The new platforms that AFAA has are amazing. I just reviewed the new CES platform, and we have a new gear platform for cycle. It's a bike agnostic. And we have a senior format, and I believe a yoga format's coming out. So there's tons of stuff coming out with AFAA that we're just constantly evolving, adding more and more information.
Well, and I think that's the key. I think education and credentialing is personally kind of what keeps me going. I started out as an educator. I was the one who somebody told me if I taught group fitness, I got to tell adults what to do. So I was like, whoo, sign me up. But at the end of the day, it's the education and the credentialing. It's the, it's the challenge of all these different certifications and all these different ways of learning and moving and inspiring people through movement and using, program design principles and all these other things that we've learned about that we really didn't understand then, that we really just kind of went in and moved around and made people happy. And that was fantastic. And I still love to do that, but there's so much to be said for having a rhyme and reason to what we do, for having a rhyme and a reason to, there's a madness to, there's a science to all the madness, right? And I think that the education and the credentialing is what has helped us as a group in this community kind of raise the bar and say, look, we we can bring groups of people together and we can be happy and we can have fun, but we can also do that in an educated, sound way, right? We can also deliver information and material in a way that keeps people safe, keeps them inspired, and makes them want to come back for more. And I really think that that is why so many other formats have taken the lead from us. Why, like I said, there's group TRX and group boot camps and group kettlebell training, because there's so much energy and inspiration in it. What do you think, Yoko?
I totally agree with you. We stand on the safety and effectiveness. It comes from education. And for 34 years, you have to renew every 2 years. So you have to study more, new idea, new program. And that really nourished me and made me a better instructor. We can never be the best, but AFAA kept me going because of the education background. Shalaine?
Yeah.
So for me, AFAA really opened my eyes to what I did not know. So I did not know what I did not know until all of a sudden I said, oh boy, I really don't know that much, even though I thought I knew all these things. And I've been teaching group exercise at the time for like 4 years. So 10 years or 12 years later, I'm still learning every single day. I'm always learning something new, trying to even looking at a lot of things online now, because everything's live streams. I'm learning, good or bad. Sometimes I'll say, oh, I like that. Or sometimes I'll say, oh, maybe that's not the way to do things. So constantly learning every day.
Yeah, I love that. You know, I used to teach college students, and I used to say, the more that we know, the more that we know how much we don't know. And I think that that's such a key point. And I kind of want to pick up on something that you just said, Shalaine, because I think that's really important. And it's a little bit of ego and inspiration. And last night I did a webinar. I joined a webinar where they were educating AFAA Group Fitness instructors. And the presenter was asking me, what is something that you would share with your students that you think would kind of make a big difference for them? And I talked about how really our mission is to meet people where they are and give them life and sustenance to make them feel good. That, you know, sometimes they call us performers or whatever, and sure, we're out there and we are performing and we're making them have a good time. But at the end of the day, our real mission is to give people body confidence that transfers into everything they do, and to get our fill by giving them their fill, by, you know, paying more attention to the middle row and the back row than we pay attention to the front row. Because, you know, we used to call them the front row frowners, and a lot of times the front row might, you know, generally those are the people who are pretty confident about themselves, pretty confident about what they're able to offer. So I want to give you this little story. So last night during this webinar, a gal spoke up and she said, I heard your name and I realized that I knew you. And she said, I used to take your classes, and that was at a club in Chicago. And she said, you wouldn't have known me because I was in the back row and I didn't talk much. We had just moved and I had just lost a child. And she said, and I just want you to know that you were there for me and you made a huge difference in my life. And I started crying, and so did everyone else. And I have so many stories like that over the years of people coming to me and telling me, you know, I don't know if you realize what an impact you made on my life at that time. And it wasn't me. It wasn't that I had done anything different. It was that my true passion and mission is to meet people where they are and to make a difference in their lives and to make it about them, not about me, right? So I'm just curious, what do you guys think? Yoko?
I totally agree. In fact, today I just got a message from LinkedIn. Yoko-san, do you remember me? My name is Maki. I met you in 2007 in New York City. And somebody from 7 years ago, well, how many years? 2007, 13 years ago, she still remembers me. My really passion is doing an AFAA workshop or class, one at a time, one person at a time, how you can inspire, empower them, and inspire them to go out and help others. And that's our job, to be an AFAA master trainer. It just inspire more people one at a time, and hopefully that person is going to go to the next person, and fitness live forever. Shalaine?
So true.
I think that is so true. You know, we all as group exercise instructors, if we had calmed down and just put our ego aside and talk to our students, we will find out all of these stories. So one for me was, I invited this woman to come exercise. I didn't really know her. And I didn't realize she had just lost her husband. And she said to me that was the first time she smiled since she lost her husband. So we have all of these things. We have no idea what our students or our participants are going through in their lives. So for me, it's constantly just being kind. I know this is like an over trite word. Everybody's like, oh, be kind, be kind. But it's true. Like, give people the benefit of the doubt. We don't know what they're like or what their family life is like. And so for me, I just want to give them a really fun, sweaty, happy time for them to get away, right? So
Right.
yeah, that to me is everything. It's not the energy that I give as much as sometimes the energy that they give to me too. So
Right.
it's a reciprocal kind of thing. I can't imagine life without teaching group exercise.
And neither can I. And I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to be like 85 and they're going to have to pull me off the fitness floor. But, I think, Shalaine, you kind of touched on something. It isn't just about putting ego aside. It's also about not personalizing people, so to speak. So one of the things, this person last night asked me about self-care. And I said, I think one of the things about self-care is to make sure that we don't, that we invest in other people insofar as we give it all we've got, but we don't invest in them insofar as we lean on them to build our confidence. Does that make sense? So like I've been on in my car before when I just taught a class and I berated myself and said, that's the worst class I've ever taught. And yet that might be the class that somebody comes up to me afterwards and says, that's the best class I've ever taken. And so what I would tell myself is I always have to do a reframe. Is when I sit in my car, I have to sit in there and say, okay, these are 2 things I might have done differently, but then I have to reframe and give myself 2 or 3 things that I did well, so that I know that I gave it my all and that's the best that I can do. So I want to give everything I can to them at the time, but I can't lean on them for my self-esteem, right? I have to be there for them, but I have to have strong enough, I have to feel good about me and what I have to offer and keep working on my skills and credentials. And then just keep knowing that as long as I'm giving it my all, even if I reach one person, I reach one person. What do you think, Yoko?
I totally agree with you, Angie. We are hard on ourselves. So I teach class every day, and some people say, you ever get tired of teaching the same thing? So I said, maybe it looks the same, but each time, what did I do good and what did I need to improve? And who's in my class and who was struggling? Did I help the front row people all the way back to each one of them on the back row people? So each class is different. I'm still challenged to make my teaching skill better. So there's no stopping to it. And I hope right now people have to spend a lot of time at home. Maybe this is a good time to look at yourself, look inside, instead of seeking what's out there, what wants me. Maybe it's best to find what you really inspire yourself to be out there to inspire other people. So that's my thought on that, Shalaine.
So yes, absolutely. I think we are our own worst critic. And Angie wrote an article a while ago for AFAA about last year, I think, talking about maybe not accepting criticism all the time. You can't please everyone. You can't. You just cannot. And you don't know what they're going through. Maybe they're just having a bad day. But for the most part, if you have given it your best and you've tried your best to reach out and do what you can as a group exercise instructor to reach everybody and to make them safe, it is what it is, like that's, I did my best. That's okay. I'm happy with that. That being said, I am constantly always asking for feedback. That's one thing as an instructor that I feel that if I go into another group exercise instructor's class, and I like to take people's classes all the time, not just my own, none of them usually ask me, what can I improve? Whereas when I see somebody in my class, even as a AFAA master instructor, I always ask them, what did you like? What did you not like? How can I improve? What are your thoughts? So that is something that we can always, be constantly evolving and growing. But that being said, I really do love my students as well. Although I'm not, as Angie say, leaning on them for my own self-confidence, because honestly, like, they love you, like your students and your participants, they love you. You can do something really bad and not safe, and they'll still probably like you because they don't know, I take everything they say with compliment wise with a little grain of salt. And I really try to listen to any time that they complain, and then really judge that to see, does that apply or does that not apply? Setting aside what my thoughts are and just really wrestle with it and think about it. I think when we do that, we collect kind of our tribe. Like, each instructor has their own group of people, and I think they end up flocking to you because you have a like mind. They like you, you like them, and we have this community. For example, I moved to Sarasota 3 years ago, and I knew nobody here. I knew one person here that kind of brought us down here. And I started teaching group exercise literally the second day that I moved to Sarasota, because we went to the gym the next day. We got in on a Sunday, and on Monday we went to the gym to sign up for, a membership. And the lady remembered me as an instructor, and she pulled me in to teach. So I started teaching right away, and I realized that a lot of these ladies were older, and that a lot of them were widows, and they were very different crowd from New York City, tri-state area. But I started creating friendships, even though these ladies were like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like all different ages. But now we meet once a week, almost without fail, Friday mornings to have breakfast. So like we can build true friendships and a community of trust. Like we celebrate each other's birthdays, and we celebrate divorces, like all different things, right? So we just celebrate and we commensurate with each other. So I think we all came through with group fitness, and that isn't the only time that I've had that happen. But this happened, again, very, very quickly in a brand new location and setting.
I think that the perfect way of putting it, Shalaine, and thank you for addressing that, because it's true, because there's feedback and then there's feedback, right? So I always say maybe one constructive criticism to two positives, right? So always keeping it in perspective. But you kind of got into the whole community thing, and that's a perfect evolution or transition into that, because I think that is the number one thing that I appreciate most about group fitness. We have now moved 6 times, my husband and family and I, and each time I have to start all over. And this is one of the things that we kind of addressed on the webinar last night, was they asked me how to manage that when you start at different gyms and how many different gyms I've taught at over the years. And I said, I couldn't even possibly say, because between presenting and moving, I couldn't even possibly say how many gyms that I've taught at. But I will tell you that every single gym has its own nuances, and every single gym has its own expectations, and every single gym sort of has a vibe and a community feel to it. And so on this last move, when we moved to Charlotte, I had been in the Chicago area for 10 years. And I had built these large communities of group fitness people. And I also had taught at the university. And when we moved to Charlotte, I thought my heart was going to break, because I thought, oh my gosh, I just got rid of all my students at the university. I got rid of all my fitness communities. I feel like I'm walking on water. I'm not walking on solid ground anymore. So I did exactly what Shalaine did. I immediately started teaching group fitness classes. And one of the things that I found was one of the clubs that I started at used a form of branded programming. And I had never done branded programming in my life. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. I only know freestyle. I only know how to be me. And after decades of teaching, that was probably the hardest transition I've ever done in my life. And yet 2 years later, I look down the road and I think, wow, I have a whole new community of people again. I have a whole new community of friendships. I feel like I have a home now, thanks to all the group fitness people, right? These are like lifelong friendships that we build over the years. And everywhere I move, it's always my group fitness community that I stay in touch with, always. What do you think, Yoko?
I totally agree with you. And I met so many instructors through AFAA, going to every kind of city, to the state, even overseas. It was a blessing to meet all those fitness pro, and we really inspire each other. As I do the workshop, it's not just teaching, this is called bicep, there's an elbow flexion. It's something else, more deep inside. And like I said previously, just make them love AFAA, and that emotion, they take it from the workshop and bring it to those people. And like Angie said, create a community union. No matter how hard time we are going through, that keep me positive way. The member made me stay positive way, and they always love me. And I try to memorize each one's name. Sometimes I call Barbara Jeannie, sometimes Peter as Paul, because I'm Japanese. Those names kind of mix it up, Jim and Bob and all those names. But I try to memorize everybody. And hi, Jim. Hi, Bob. How was your wife? So we don't go into really personal, but like Angie said, it's a fitness family. And that's what the group exercise does to each one of us, inspires and keep us going. Shalaine?
I find that's really true as well. I also think that I love group fitness instructors too. They have become true like sisters of the heart. So a lot of these ladies that I've attended the Zumba conference, which is actually a really big, crazy event. And this is the first year they've canceled it. They've canceled a lot of fitness workshops and conferences. So I'm kind of crying. But the community of not just the students, but also the instructors is unbelievable, because I think, well, so when I worked on the trading floor, most of the people on the trading floor had this certain personality, right? So they were, very aggressive, go-getting, kind of out for themselves kind of people. And that was great in that setting. I find that group exercise instructors tend to be really caring and loving. They're big hearts. We are the first to organize some sort of, fundraiser or donate our time. We want to help our participants. I think that if you look at the Myers-Briggs test with the different personality types, we end up being kind of these like ENFJs. Like, we're very extroverted. Most group exercise instructors are a lot of fun. We love to make people laugh. We are constantly smiling. We are very feeling of people. We're very intuitive about how people are. And I think we also, I sometimes think we do judge a little bit. We kind of like look around and be like, okay, yeah, this, and this. We need to change this. We need to change that. We need to do this better. But that type of the Myers-Briggs personality is called the mentor. And actually, Angie, you're like a total, I think you're like one of those too. But so I think it's really cool that I have this community of people that I love, in addition to my students too. That's become a family to me, a second family.
All right. So I was curious, this is kind of, I'm throwing these girls a curveball here because we didn't discuss this, but we all shared a story of somebody who came to us and kind of let us know how much we impacted them. And that happened to me last night in the webinar. And as a matter of fact, the girl who reached out to me to do the webinar said to me, I think you were my AFAA instructor 7 years ago. And she said, that's how I found you. And she said, so I'd really love for you to talk to my group, because now I'm kind of helping, paying it forward and that kind of thing. But I'm curious, what other kind of shining moments, whether they're really happy ones or kind of sad ones or pivotal moments, have you had? And like I said, we've moved 6 times, so I've been to so many different gyms. I've had so many times where people either love my classes or don't love my classes, so many positive experiences. And you know what? So many experiences that weren't so positive that taught me more than the positive experiences did. But, another moment that stands out in my mind is I was walking into a gym in Phoenix, Arizona, and one of my constant members who's always there was standing outside, and she was her posture was showing that there was a lot going on with her. And I walked up and I said her name and I said, "Are you okay?" And she just dissolved into tears. And then she told me something that had just happened to her, a very life-changing moment for her in her relationship with her spouse. And I realized in that moment that so many times we have these perceptions of people in our classes. Maybe they don't smile, maybe they don't have the energy they normally have, and maybe we personalize it, and maybe we think it's about us, or maybe we think we're not doing a good job. But it's always that reminder that people come in with so many different situations happening in their world, and the fact that we're there to bring them positive energy is really the best that we can do. You know, they may not be talking back to us, they may not be engaging with the class because it was everything they could do just to get out there and join us on the fitness floor. And I've had so many of those experiences over the years, and I just think that that's what keeps me coming back for more, is those communities of people that I built and those friendships that I've built, and that feeling of maybe I made a difference for one person today, and that's enough for me. So what do you think, Yoko?
I totally agree. One person at a time. You know, one time went to IDEA convention. The speaker said there's a lot of almost dying fish on the beach. So they're the one kid throwing a fish back to the ocean. So I went up and said, "Girl, it's helpless. There's 1,000 fish. What are you doing?" And she said, "But at least I saved this fish." And she threw it back. So he joined. So it's a double effort. So our job is to inspire other people, and it's like a ripple effect, but it's all come from within. And really, when I first went to AFAA workshop, was that shocking moment. Like Shalaine said, I knew nothing about it, but after 3 days, I didn't know if I pass or fail. But they just peeled my skin off, and they made me a new person. So that made me motivated to be an AFAA presenter. I wanted to share this inspiration experience. So when they go back, I hope the instructor inspire other people. And even if each has a bad moment, sad moment, but when they come together, that little moment, we enjoy every moment of it while we are doing a step, touch, and grapevine, and forget about all those stuff. And when they leave the class, they feel better and they keep coming back. And that's our primary job, not how good they can do grapevine and step touch. It's really us, trying to help them. That feeling, it just kind of spread like a germs in my class, and they all leave happy and come back again for more. So that kept me going for 34 years, Shalaine.
So we have a couple of questions. So Shalaine, when you're finished answering this, I'm going to start getting to some questions here too, but I can't wait to hear your answer.
Okay.
Awesome. So I agree with Yoko 100%. You know, it's just making people happy and healthy in our class. It could be something as simple as making these people happy so that when they're driving out in traffic, they're not going to give the guy who cut them off the finger, right? So that we make the world a happier place, kind of a one class at a time. So I count all of my successes day in and day out. I think as an instructor, a tip that I found that was extremely helpful to me was to find something I loved about each participant. And some those harder to love than others, right? But it could be something just like the color of their eyes or the way they, dressed or whatever it is. But you have to genuinely find something that you love about each of your participants and think about that when you talk to them, because you'll have difficult people too. And then it just helps you kind of give them a little more love when you're coming from a place of love and not a place of, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that, or, just focus on the positive and then you'll create more positive.
I love that. And you know what? I also did one of those AFAA blogs on how to deal with difficult members. I did an actual writing blog and I did a video blog about how to deal with difficult members. There's plenty of content out there, trust me. So one of the questions, and I love this, is Lisa said, I have been certified for 15 months, but I'm terrified to actually teach. How do I get the confidence to start? And I just want to tell you, Lisa, I love that question, and thank you for asking it, because I have to tell you, after decades of teaching, moving to Charlotte and moving to that club where they asked me to teach branded formats, I was green, like I had just started teaching yesterday. I think I was nervous for 6 months to that first year of teaching there because I was so out of my comfort zone. But by the way, speaking of that, I love being out of my comfort zone because that's where we grow the most. So looking back, thank goodness, because it was a good lesson in humility. But where do you get the confidence to start is, I don't know any other way to say it except that we just have to start. We have to start, and we have to know that there's over 7 billion people on the planet and not everyone is going to like us. And we have to start and know that some people are going to come up and they're going to have nothing but negative to say. And some people are going to come up and they're going to love everything that we do. And we kind of have to take both sides with a grain of salt, right? Because if the way that I feel about myself was dictated by my members, I would probably think, I would probably have a long ego because we love them, but that isn't really what it's about, right? That's not really a true test to who we are as a human being and the impact that we're making. And so I think we have to go in there and just realize, take it on a relative scale, that some people are going to like us, some people are not. But I wrote a blog on pre-class jitters and how to deal with pre-class jitters, how to deal with nervousness. And I did that because I was going through a substantial amount of nervousness at that time from moving here and teaching those new formats. And I thought, I can't believe after all these years, I'm so nervous. And so the only thing I can tell you is, A, take it with a grain of salt what people say, B, just do it, and C, plan. Prepare. You cannot over prepare. You cannot walk in too ready. And so the more prepared you are, and the more you plan what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and the more you prepare for worst case, best case scenarios, the more confident you're going to be. It's like studying for a test. You know, the more you study for a test, the better you perform on the test. So just go in there, have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, have more than enough choreography so that if you go too fast because you get nervous, you'll know that you have enough to keep you going. So what do you think, Yoko?
I totally agree with you, Angie. After 34 years, I still get nervous. I still do get nervous. And that's a good thing because you really have to focus on the moment. And first time when I have to stand in front of people, 2 weeks before that, especially a step class, I didn't know how to teach. I just went to forward step workshop, and now they throw me the step. So you don't know how many hours I practice. I practice. So when I cue, my leg doesn't do what I'm saying. You know, cue have to be ahead of time, right? But as soon as I say step touch, I'm already step touching. So I needed to practice as you march. I practice 4, 3, 2, 1 over and over until I can do it in sleep. So practice makes progress. But Lisa, I know how you feel. The first time, maybe first 3 classes might be difficult because you have to feel the water who you have. And each one of us went through it. And don't worry about it if you mess it up. They are your guinea pig for first few classes, and you thank them. They came here, gave you feedback. You just need to be humble, practice makes better instructor. But don't worry about it. I shouldn't say that, don't worry about it. You do need to be nervous, but when you teach it, it'll get better. And I stand 100% behind you. I'm a cheerleader for you, Lisa. Shalaine.
That's why I love Yoko. She's so cute. And if you get a chance to take a group exercise,
she's everyone's cheerleader.
Yeah, she is. She's adorable. And we all are. We all like cheer for our people in our sessions and people who come and take these AFAA Live workshops. So if you haven't taken them, I encourage you to do that because we do the things that Yoko talk about. We talk about 32 count beats, and then we talk about 2 count cueing so that we cue two beats before, and we actually practice all of this. This is stuff that we teach you guys how to do. So it's like having a mentor who holds your hand and then teaches you some of the basics about group exercise. So I do really love these live workshops. I think that sometimes we are afraid to try something new, right? Because we are afraid to fail. And I just posted about this, but it's not, people who fail aren't the people who keep trying. It's the people who give up, right? So as long as you always keep trying, you're not failing. You're getting better and improving. So I encourage all of you guys to keep going. I do.
Yay!
I know. Yay!
That's perfect. I love that. And I think that's so true. As long as you're trying, you're not failing. We all have to put ourselves out there. You know, there's so many sayings out there that talk about, you know, if we're putting ourselves out there, feedback, that's just the way it is. But are you going to avoid feedback and then not put yourself out there and not live your dream? I don't think it's worth it. I think we just need to know that that's what goes with the territory, right? We can't get too involved in people's feedback to the degree that, like I said, it defines our self-esteem or it defines who we are as a human. We can just take it with kind of what we need to grow from it and then let the rest go. So another question, and two of them that are actually kind of related. So Cecilia asks, where do we see the future of group fitness going? And kind of what goes hand in hand with that is, Michelle is asking, in regard to the evolution of group fitness, anything that we could be doing during these times to kind of create a new normal with regard to the fitness industry, and any ideas what that new normal will be, what it will look like. So I think that, you know, Shalaine already mentioned that a lot of the big conventions have been canceled. I was supposed to be teaching at Idea World this summer, and that's been canceled. And that was a big boo-hoo for me, because that's such a great way to connect with our communities, such a great way to see our fellow instructors, but also, sorry, I might have had a moment where I was going to cry, see our fellow instructors, but also see all of, you know, just get all that energy and all that expertise all in one weekend. And so as far as the creating a new normal, I think that the story is yet to unfold. But I think that one thing we're discovering is that, I know from a mental health perspective, one of the things that I'm hearing a lot from my clients is they don't mind so much being home. What they mind about being home is that they're told to be home. But then when we really sit away and we peel away the layers of the onion, we realize that we're all learning a lot about ourselves and our families and what's really important in our world just by virtue of being home. And I think that that's going to carry over. I think that there's going to be more and more and more online programming, because let's face it, I can join your fitness class on Zoom and I can block my camera and work out to you in my underwear. And then I don't have to worry about what I'm going to wear to the gym, right? So I think that there's going to be a lot more online opportunities to teach our people via Zoom or whatever it might be, via Skype, and to connect with our communities. Because I think that we're all kind of sitting in and realizing most, and maybe this of the world was a little too crazy, and we all what we had asked for. So I think the future of group fitness to me looks a lot more virtual. Okay, it looks a lot more virtual, and we're resilient. We can do that, right? We are adaptable, resilient humans who are used to change, and we are kind of the leaders of that. We have been the leaders for positive change all along. So what do you think, Yoko?
I totally agree. Also, with virtual classes, you have so many selection now. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm using a parking lot of the gym, doing a 101. Then I'm doing 2 or 3 participant step class. It's a small group, but I reach out to each member who normally come to my step class and what they are doing. I give them idea. Can you do squat 10 times? The next day I text them and say, did you do 10 squat? So sometimes I approach each one of them through a widow and just don't have anything else to do than just communicating with me. So again, I'm reaching out to each one of them. The other instructor are doing the virtual classes, but I'm still on the hands-on situation. Lucky my club allows 6 feet distance, wear the mask, and don't touch each other. You can still do the class. But in the future, yeah, that'll be more virtual. Shalaine?
I think there's always going to be a need for in-person teaching. I cannot get myself motivated if I don't have somebody in front of me to either teach to or to take it from. That being said, yes, I currently do teach virtual classes. It's keeping me sane and not committing murder of my children and my husband. But that being said, too, I love taking classes from people all around the world. So Wednesday, I took a class from an instructor in India. I had taken an instructor in Denmark. I had taken instructors classes in California and all different places. So for me, that's great. It opens up a new world, a brand new world for us, right? So anytime that there's chaos, there's always opportunity. Like you guys have heard that. So you know what? This is our time as group exercise instructors to innovate and create opportunities for health and beauty and ways of connecting with our participants that we did not have before. I did look up the Acsm New Trends of 2020. So their top trends now are wearable technology, data collection, free weights, body weight training, kind of like exercise is medicine, more like a tie-in of exercise and your PCP, your primary care physician, so doctors recommending exercise, etc. Lifestyle medicine, which is a brand new thing, which is something like what Angie does, which is like behavioral, psycho therapists, that type of things, nutrition consultants, all sorts of people. Children and exercise is a new trend, health and wellness coaching, in addition to actual teaching group exercise. We are seeing a lot of people getting into post-rehab exercise for chronic conditions, so people getting additional certifications. And then also group training is always on the top of the trends. It is for years and years and years. And I think this year it was number 3 and moved down from number 2 for the previous 2 years. They note that baby boomers are going to be important because even though they're not a larger population, they actively go to the gym a lot. And I also see that social media is a huge boom with the younger people. So they don't use Facebook, sorry people, because we're the parents, the grandparents are on Facebook, so they're no longer on here. So they're on YouTube, they're on Instagram, and they're on TikTok with getting their fitness ideas. So that is, if you want to go virtual, amp up your social media. Angie, what do you think?
You know what, Shalaine? I think that's perfect. I think you're absolutely right. I think so much of what's living in the world is connecting through social media. And for some of us, that's kind of a love-hate relationship, but it's just kind of about finding our comfort zone with that. So if you have additional questions, go ahead and pop them to us right now. But I kind of want to just do a little summary of what we kind of hope to connect with you all about today. Kind of our main mission was just to say that we have evolved over time, but in so many ways, we are the exact same discipline that we were way back then, even when we were wearing headbands and high top tennis shoes. Our mission is we bring people together, fun and acceptance, one where everybody comes in from all different socioeconomic statuses, all different walks of life, on this floor. A common purpose. It doesn't matter where they came from, right? And our second mission was that we are more than ponytails and spandex, that we are educated and we are credentialed and we continue to evolve and we continue to grow from that standpoint. And our third one is that I think that we are the leaders of positive change. We're kind of a bandwagon that everybody wants to get on because we are a great way, we show the way of getting people together and having fun, but still being able to accomplish goals. And we build community, we create friendships, and those friendships are life, and we are resilient. We've been reaching people for decades and we'll continue to reach people. Maybe it will be via webinar, maybe it will be on Skype, maybe it will be on Zoom, maybe it will be on social media, but we will continue to grow stronger. We will continue to connect with one another. And I think that is one of our big takeaways, is that embrace one another, use one another to grow your platform, because the more we are strong as a community, the bigger the difference we can make. You guys have anything you want to add to that?
I don't think we can top that, Angie. You basically wrapped it all up. It's awesome. I think that, we are, I love that Yoko did this. I think that we are in this very important position. And even if it is something that you're not comfortable with, like going virtual, a lot of people don't like it and they're not dealing with all Zoom and all of the technologies. Well, we have to just keep in contact with our participants. So whether it is just through jokes or messages on checking up on how they're doing, so that they are ready to come back to you when everything blows over. So that, I think, is a really big, important aspect, that even though this is out of our comfort zone, we still have to persevere and do what we can. I have a joke.
All right.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So why do they not play Cardi B and in the gyms?
Why?
Because it is cardio.
That's really bad.
It's so bad. But you guys
well, you
are
know
laughing.
What,
it's
guys?
Okay.
You know what? We really appreciate you connecting with us, because honestly, we get our energy from you. We get our energy from one another. We get our energy from you. And I really know that we are a resilient, adaptable community. And I know that the more that we support each other and the more we lift each other up. My daughter sent me a beautiful meme a couple of years ago, and it was a woman standing below a woman walking up a set of stairs, and she was lifting her foot up so that she could get up the next step. And I really think that that's what it's all about, male, female, that we are all here to one another, and we all lift one another up, and we know that there's enough space for everybody. We just need to embrace that we grow stronger together. So thank you so much for your time. Keep connecting with us and sharing your thoughts, right? What do you think, gals? So you want to give them a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Let me know if you have any questions. We appreciate you.
I love you.
We can do the Asian hearts.